time to do this.
Absolutely my honor. It's a wonderful privilege to hang out with you. Makes me feel young. Makes me feel like I got some young folk listening to me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, today I have some questions for you, and so I wrote them down. I'm not an interviewer at all, so bear with me.
Not
But
at
I
all.
just wanted to introduce you to everybody
Right.
for a second. So everybody, today I have a very special guest with me, my friend, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. What do you want me to call you, by the way? Dr.
Michael's
Dyson?
fine.
Michael's fine? Michael's
Yeah,
fine? Okay.
Michael's fine.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we met on the Raw Word, and ever since then, I have been following him and just been so inspired by his messages and his wisdom. He is a academic author, preacher, and radio host. He is professor of sociology at Georgetown University, where my sister will be going this year, which is super exciting. I know.
We gotta hang out together.
Yes, definitely. And also the author of Tears We Cannot Stop, a sermon to white America.
Yes,
so yes, thank you truly for taking your time to do this. I've been watching all of your interviews, and it's helped educate me a lot on what's going on in our world right now. So I really just wanted people who follow me to also be able to know your knowledge and educate themselves as well.
Thank you, my love. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I know you are super busy, so we'll get straight into it.
That's all right. Yeah.
But how are you doing, and how are you processing everything that's been going on for the past 2 weeks?
That's a great question. You know, it's gut-wrenching. You know, I'm a 61-year-old man. I know your followers. Oh my God, he's ancient. Lord, was there television back then? Yeah, we had Soul Train. We were killing it. Anyway, so, you know, it's been tough because to see Black people die and to see them die in an unjust fashion, and to see the police with, you know, a policeman with his knee on the neck of a Black man like George Floyd, to see Ahmaud Arbery hunted down like an animal by the McMichael father and son team and a third man who trapped him in, to read about Breonna Taylor dying in Kentucky. It's awfully discouraging. It's awfully dispiriting. We are human beings. We are fellow citizens with our white and Black and brown and red and yellow brothers and sisters. We deserve equal treatment. We deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and yet that has not often been the case. And so now, with the George Floyd case, people have finally not been able to avoid it. They haven't, you know, been able to say, oh, that's not us. That's not our society. That's just a few bad cops. That's just somebody who doesn't like Black people. No. Now we discover that it's deeply entrenched in society, deeply rooted in a way that's not just about individual prejudice. Well, I like Black people. I never use the N-word. They don't have to fire me off of Vanderpump Rules and so on and so forth. But no, it's not just about that. It's about how you think about the other. It's about how fair the treatment is at work. How much money do you make versus somebody who's the same as you, but who happens to be a person of color? So when we think about these issues, it really drives us to consider that there's a lot going on. We've made enormous progress in one way, but there's so much more progress to be made. And you can imagine how difficult it is when we have children and grandchildren and nieces and you know and nephews and the like, and you're scared for them to go outside. You're afraid for them to interact with a police person. A lot of white brothers and sisters have no idea what that means. My God. You know, I remember when I was at graduate school at Princeton, the guy that I was then working for to run the dorms, he was called the master. I was called the assistant master. As a Black man being called master, I was getting off on that. I mean, all right. Well, yes, I'm assistant master Michael Eric Dyson. Thank you very kindly. So, but the thing is that he would tell me these stories about how when the cops stopped him, and he was a white British man, and he's like, I would tell them, of course, be off. Okay, that might be bad. And I was, I'm not sure if that was Cockney or traditional British. Have no idea. I'm not the actor, but I'm trying to get a part, so help me out. So he said he would just cuss them out. I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. They would kill me. Mm-hmm. And then another time, I'm here in Washington, D.C., so Ben's Chili Bowl is a famous eatery. So if you come, next time you come here, when your sister comes and you come to visit, we'll hang out.
Yes.
Some horrible, you know, great food. So I was there one night. This was several months ago, maybe about a year ago. It's about 4:30 in the morning. Okay, I was doing ethnographic research of young people and how they dance in clubs at 4:30. Okay, don't judge me. So I'm out there at 4:30, and a white kid is just like giving the cops the what for, cussing them out, saying horrible things. And I said to myself, oh my God, they're going to shoot him. And then I said, no, they're not. He's a young white kid. The cops stopped. They said, young man, you're clearly inebriated. Let me call you a cab. And called this young man a cab and put him in there. That's all we want. Can we get that? Can we get humane, decent treatment? Can we get the recognition of our humanity? Can we have the people who supposedly work for us actually remember that we help pay their salary, that it is our sweat and our blood and our money also that contributes? So I think we've got to get to a point in our society where we see that all of us need that kind of security. And how I'm doing, it's pretty bad to see my people torn up this way, but I'm so proud to see them in the streets protesting, demanding that, you know, we be treated fairly and equally and that justice comes to American society.
Yeah, that's amazing. For me personally, I have been in many situations where my white friends will make racial jokes, and I find myself feeling like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place, where if I don't say anything, then my silence is speaking volumes and saying that, yeah, that's completely okay. But then if I stand up and do say something, I'm called aggressive or too sensitive, and people say, why can't you just take a joke? So I was really wanting to understand for myself and for many others in that situation, how can you best go about being in those situations and address racism as a young person in this society?
Oh, that's why I love you so much. That's such a powerful question. So well stated. And you have pointed to the real dilemma. Because on the one hand, you know, you're with your friends, you're hanging out, they like you, you like them, it's cool. And then they say something untoward from left field, and you go like, oh my God. And it's a burden as the person of color or the minority in that situation. Because why do I have to police you? Why do I have to do this? How come you can't do it yourself? I want to have fun. I just want to watch the movie. I just want to hang out. I just want to go to the sock hop. Okay, that was years ago. I just want to do my thing. Why is it that you're shifting the burden on me? Because now I either have to address you directly, because what you're doing is pretty ridiculous. But if I do that, then, oh my God, Sophia, why you gotta be so hypersensitive? Why you gotta have such a thin skin? You know, it's just a joke. So the thing is that it's extremely difficult. But you have to say to your friends, and hopefully the George Floyd situation will make people more understanding. Because you've seen, look, I went on Amazon Prime. They got enough black movies now to last 15 Black History Months, man. I was like, dang, you got black movies I ain't never heard of. Wait a minute, that's a black movie? Dang, where you get that from? So, wait a minute. And then all kind of, you know, black products and stuff. I was like, hey, it's great to be black, I guess, at this point, for some reason. But let's move beyond the symbolism to the substance, right? And the thing is, you got to, you know, hopefully your friends will understand, no, I got to check you. You're going to call me aggressive, but how about we say that you haven't, you know, policed yourself? You haven't been introspective. You haven't been reflective. You haven't said, hey, how would Sophia feel? You know, we take for, you know, granted that she's our friend, but there's so many other black people and so many other people of color and women and the like who are subject to this. It's incumbent upon your friends to say, we can't do this stuff anymore. And putting the burden on you is not cool. And it would be good sometimes if we could make statements to our friends, because, you know, when we like them and we dig them and we know you're good people, but because we like you and we dig you and we know you're a good person, you might say that to us, but you're going to say it to the wrong black person. It ain't going to turn out right, homeboy or homegirl. So we want to educate you, although black people are tired, like, oh my God, my students go, I'm not here at Georgetown to educate these white folk. I'm here to get an education myself. It's hard, and I understand that. But as a professor myself, that's my job. I was joking with my students one day. I was like, yeah, we're not here to educate white kids. I said, oh, yeah, actually I am. That's kind of my job. Okay. I didn't push it too far now. I don't want to get fired here. Yes, I'm here to educate white people. Because I get a lot of hate mail. I get a lot of love. I get a lot of arguments and so on. I get a lot of death threats because that's the nature of what we do. But I think in your position, as a highly intelligent and tremendously gifted young artist, it shouldn't be the burden that you bear. But unfortunately, until things get better, you might have to say something to them. And it might have to be a little bit of discomfort, might have to be a little bit of turning of the eye, and all right, but then they got to get the message. This is not acceptable. It's not acceptable in this circle, and it's not acceptable in the larger society, because what you practice is what you are. So if you're practicing being nice, you're going to be nice when you're courteous and respectful. That's what you're going to be. Your tremendous father and parents, they teach you to be a tremendous and respectful young lady. And that habit is ingrained in you. And the people who love and nurture you present you with a set of experiences and habits that will stand you well in the larger world. So that's what we got to do. When we have fun with our friends and we're hanging out, we got to say, this is especially problematic because here we are and you're making a joke of it, and it's not something that's funny. So as hard as it is sometimes, you got to check them then. And maybe once you check them early on, they'll stop that madness, and then you can go and have fun.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, this is one of my last questions, but since there is much more exposure on the social injustice and systematic racism in our world, what is something that you would like to see actually change right now?
That's a great point. A couple of things. First of all, this argument about defunding police and so on, I think something has to happen. I think the reform has to be radical. I think the transformation has to be immediate. I think the change has to come, because we can't afford to see more Black people and others lose their lives. And just like back in the 60s, when we did stuff and we passed legislation, it didn't just help us, it helped everybody. Give you a quick example. So they were having an argument over the passage of the Civil Rights Bill. That was in 1964. Because before then, Black people couldn't go to the same lunch counter with white people. They had to go to the back of the lunch counter, get your sandwich, and then leave. When you were on a bus, you couldn't, you had to pay your fare at the beginning of the bus, right at the front, then get out the bus, go around and go to the back of the bus to get on. And sometimes those old bus drivers would take your money and then take off, right? Which is ridiculous. So there was a separate society, one Black, one white. White water fountain ain't like the white water was wetter, right? It ain't like, my water is aquapana and yours is merely, Dasani. No, dog, y'all got the same water, okay? Stop. But they did have different, schools, and they had more money to have better schools. We had brilliant teachers. The Black brain drain had not yet occurred. Black people had to teach in Black institutions of higher education and in college and in, grammar school and the like, and it was beautiful. But we didn't have the resources we should have had. So there was a divided society. Black people were unequal and didn't have access to the same resources. But we're paying the same money. It ain't like they gave us a break on taxes. It'd be different if they said, look, Black people ain't getting everything, so they get a break on taxes. Because some of us might opt for that now. Hey, that's cool. Let me over here in the hood. I ain't got to pay no taxes. Deuces. But that ain't how it goes, right? Tupac said, just the other day, I got lynched by a crooked cop. And to this day, that same cop on the beat getting major pay. But when I get my check, they taking tax out. So we paying the cops to knock the Blacks out. That ain't cool. I'm subsidizing my own oppression. So 1964, Civil Rights Act said things have to be equal. Public transportation, hotels, swimming pools, and the like. And a senator from the South, a white guy, said, I'm going to trick him. I'll get him. I'll make people not pass this bill. What I'll do is I'll join interests of women with the interests of Black people. And because he's thinking they're going to be sexist, and they see, if you help Black people, you're going to help women too. That's how Title IX came about. He put it in the bill, and the darn thing passed. So we got 2 for 1. We got Black people's interests being taken care of, and the interests of gender that subsequently became Title IX was written into the law. So when you help Black folk, you're helping everybody. And when it comes to police brutality, we know numerically more white people are abused in terms of sheer numbers than Black people, but not percentage-wise. We ain't but, 13% of the population? There's only about, 40 million Black people out of 330 some odd million citizens in America. So we ain't that big of a population. We just fresh, we just cool, we just dope. People love us, but like somebody said, I think it was Jalen Rose, I wish white people loved our bodies and our spirits and our lives as much as they love our culture, right? Greg Tate said they want everything, who's a great culture critic. He says about white people wanting blackness. He said they want everything but the burden. So we've got to say that when we look at this legislation in 64, it helped everybody. And right now, policing and reform and radical changing will help everybody too, because it'll stop police from going out of control. It'll stop police people from mistreating other human beings. If we can shift money to where it belongs, why should a cop go out when somebody calls the police because they have a mentally ill person acting out? Why doesn't the psychiatrist go out? Why doesn't the social service person go out? So if we funded enough programs where people who are experts in that stuff, social services and in terms of being a social worker or a therapist, could go out and talk to these people, and the cop would be there just to make sure no violence occurred, but stay back, hang back and let the real people deal with this situation. Imagine the difference it would make in our society. So yeah, when you help black people, you're helping everybody. When you help us, you're helping do the right thing. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, look, I'm not Russian, but if something was happening bad to Russians, I'd stand with him. He says, I'm not Catholic, but if something was going down with the Catholics, I'd stand with them. And we can say in our day, if the trans people are finding problems, even among African-American people and others, we got to stand with the trans community. So the thing is, black people are suffering, and I'm glad to see white brothers and sisters and others, Latinx people and Asian folk and indigenous people hitting the streets with us, because the creed of this society is a Latin phrase called e pluribus unum, out of many one. And that means we got to get as many people as we can coming together, marching together to make sure we can change this society.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I hope all of you watching are taking notes right now, because this is gold. There's so much wisdom. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you wish to add that I may have missed or forgot?
Oh no, you just, if people I don't know if people have questions on your screen there, but look, it's extreme. Yeah, we can answer some of them too if you got time. We can answer questions that people might send to us, and we won't charge them. We'll be like Oprah and go, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. It's extremely important for young people to set an example for how we should change. I know it sounds weird because young people look up to old people and say, you guys lead us. But look, we're doing crazy stuff. You have the president of the United States of America saying, not at all. Even the Pentagon leaders of the military industrial complex said, we are willing to consider taking down these Confederate monuments on these military bases. That's a big thing. But the president was like, no way, never. Mm-hmm. So we can't depend on older people like the president and other people who are deeply rooted in their bigotry or their hatred. The people we see on the street sometimes as we're marching and they're doing horrible things. Those people, have decided to be who they are. But it's the young people who have a real chance to make a change in this country. And when you look at social movements throughout history, it's always been the young people who have been the leaders. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr. was only 26 when he became famous. Now, that might be old to some of y'all, 26. But as a 61-year-old, like 26? He was 26? Yes, I want you to go out here and do the right thing now for shizzle my... Okay, so 26 years old. And when you think about John Lewis and Diane Nash, mm-hmm. when you think about younger people like them doing their thing, Cleveland Sellers, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, SNCC, working with Dr. King's SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the National Urban League, the NAACP. A lot of young people were involved. A lot of old people too. I ain't trying to diss old people. I saw one of the young people had a sign, "We are not our ancestors," Wait, don't dog us that deep now, because old gray-haired people made it possible for you to do what you do. I mean, mm-hmm. there wouldn't be a Drake without a Tupac. So we got to show some love. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jigga did his thing. That's why Lil Wayne is doing his. Real G's move in silence like lasagna. Wouldn't be that without Jay. When the ribbons of the system ain't no telling, will I love him, will I diss him? You got to understand older and younger. And so some of our younger activists who have been thrust into the limelight, who are very young, are helping us shape this society. Black Lives Matter is very important. And I think all human beings should grab hold of those young people, join them where they are, march in the streets, shape public policy, figure out ways to help each other. And one of the things I would want to say to to white brothers and sisters is this, is that you got to figure out a way to speak to your own white folk, because a lot of them ain't going to listen to me. They'll listen to you, of course, far more. But sometimes they won't listen to anybody except somebody who looks like them. Mm. So it's extremely important for white brothers and sisters to talk to your own uncle and aunt and cousin. And not just older people. When I mentioned the Vanderpump Rules, look at young people saying the N-word, mad because they can't say the N-word. A lot of people, and I'm not saying throw them away, because if they apologize, I think we should accept the apology if it's real and sincere and not hold it to their account. But you got to teach people, you got to uproot this behavior. And there's no such thing as, oh, I'm younger, therefore I'm going to be more informed. We hope that you have a chance as a younger person not to learn some of the bad habits, but sometimes that stuff gets passed right down and young people duplicate the very thing that they've seen in an older generation. So I ask white brothers and sisters, go to your own homes, think about what it means to address your people in a way that only you can do. And sometimes, you know, you'll be more effective than me. Look, I'm funny, I tell jokes, but they ain't gonna hear me. So I want y'all, I'm gonna deputize you, all white people in America, I'm gonna deputize you to go out into your homes at, say, Thanksgiving. And when you're there for, okay, sweet potato pie is black people, pumpkin pie. When you're there for the pumpkin pie and you eat your food, then also when you hear the nasty little jokes, when you hear the nasty little snide comments, oh, black people are this or the N-word is that, you go, wait a minute. I got friends. They're people I know. You're being unfair. No, you're wrong. Now eat your turkey first. Don't get thrown off the table before you get your food. Now, let's not be crazy. But after you do that, then confront them, not nastily, but say, you know, it's hurtful. I have friends who are black. They're smart. They're intelligent. They're not what you think they are. And all people have faults. All groups have people who fall beneath the level of expectation morally and people who mostly rise above it. That's in every group. So if white people can educate other white people, that would be a significant advance for our struggle for freedom, democracy, and liberty in this country.
Wow. Thank you so much. It's been so amazing to have you there to guide me and so many others during this time. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, so I'm going to let you go, but
right.
I will be talking to you.
Anytime you want to talk to me,
yes,
you let me know, and I'll be right there, all right?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Everybody, a round of applause for Michael right here. Thank you, truly. I hope you have a great day.
You too, my love. Thank you so very much.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right now. Bye-bye.
Wow. That right there, that was so informative, and his wisdom is just out of this world. And I hope that you all loved listening to him and all of his wisdom as much as I did. But thank you guys for coming on here and educating yourselves and hearing what somebody has to say, someone who is so well educated and knows a lot about what's going on in our world right now. Thank you to Multi Mullen, I see you here, random.rat. I love you all, and I just appreciate you coming on and taking your time as well. Wilford's here. Hi, Wilford. I miss you so much. I saw Tim was here in the beginning. Thank you, Tim, for coming on. Gemma. Stefan. All you guys, thank you so much. Okay. Well, I love you all. Thank you so much for coming on and listening and taking your time out of your day to talk about this with us. Okay. I will see you all soon.